Hello, this is Brighton TV and this is the match preview for Brighton vs Leicester. And last week versus Southampton, we ended up dropping 3 points because of a really poor second half performance. In the first half, we ended up creating quite a few chances and we weren't able to take them. We ended up getting a penalty through handball and we ended up scoring it. The story of our season is we can't take our chances, and a lot of the time we've gone 1-up, but we weren't able to go and make it 2, and that's really costly for us because it means the other team can easily score and it completely changes the dynamic of the game. And Southampton did that right before half time, and then it deflated the team at half time. We ended up playing a lot worse in the second half. Southampton, they started getting a lot of control of the ball. They were having a lot more attacks and we were very limited, and especially when Connolly went off, and I thought he had a good game off the ball. Especially he was pressing really well, he was getting in behind well, and he was doing a lot of good things for us. But when he ended up getting subbed off, we ended up losing that part, and especially when we were going more of a counter-attack, it didn't seem smart to go and take off someone like Connolly, who's so good at creating counter-attacking chances. And on the 80th minute, Southampton ended up getting a penalty and they ended up scoring it, and it was, for me, it wasn't a pen, and PGMOL, they ended up saying that it shouldn't have been a pen, and VAR should have just said it was a free kick outside the box. And that's so disappointing to lose a game like that. But we can't only blame it on the VAR because the second half performance was not good enough. We need to improve that, and hopefully we make a much better performance versus Leicester. And Leicester, they've been in great form. They've won their last 2 games. They've beat Sheffield United and they've won in the Europa League in midweek. They're going to be in this game in a lot of high spirits, and that just shows we need to be really good at being clinical, taking our chances and limiting Leicester to what chances they can have. With how Leicester play now, they play a lot more of a counter-attack. They allow the other team to go and get the ball, and they use their players like Vardy, who's so good on the counter-attack, to go and get in behind, and more times than not Vardy will score on the break, and he is so dangerous. We need to be careful of a player like Jamie Vardy. And that's where you think back to post-lockdown when we ended up drawing 0-0 this same fixture last season. That's where Tariq Lamptey made his Brighton debut, and he was so good at stopping counter-attacks. He was really good at getting back in behind, stopping Vardy, and how he played, he had a man of the match performance. We need him to replicate that. And another player, Yves Bissouma, who's so good at stopping play, breaking up play, he needs to go and have a really good game yet again. And Leicester, because of all their injuries to a lot of key players, they've ended up changing their formation from the 4-3-3 to a 3-4-3, having more bodies back, and we do need to be careful of that because when they do that, they want it, so then you go and commit too many bodies forward for players like Vardy and Perez to go on the counter-attack, and them to really good partnership, and they can go and hurt teams. Vardy has 11 goals this season. Need to be really careful of him, and we need to make sure when we do defend, we defend really well, and if we get the lead, make sure to go and control it. And my lineup for this game, I think it should be a 3-4-1-2, and in goal I think it should be Sanchez. And Ryan, he's been quite poor recently. His save percentage has been really low, and some of the goals which we've conceded, it does seem like another keeper would save, and it's a bit disappointing in that. But that's not the main reason why I want Ryan dropped. It's because of his distribution has been off colour compared to what was last season. And when we saw Sanchez versus Spurs, his distribution, his all-round play seemed really good, and it seemed really harsh to drop him. I think he should come back into the side and try to prove a point, and I think Sanchez should start in this game. And the back three, I think it should be Dunk, Veltman and White. And Webster, his distribution has been a bit poor recently, along with how many mistakes he's been making versus Southampton. And although Southampton are one of the highest pressing teams in the league, they were without Danny Ings for the first half. And when you look at Leicester, who have Vardy, who's one of the best strikers in the league right now, you do have to be careful. And I think Webster, if he does make a mistake, it could be costly, so it'd be better to use Veltman there instead. And Veltman, when he has played, he's played really well, so that's why I think Veltman should play. And the wing backs, I think it should be March and Lamptey, and we don't have any more left wing backs. And as I said, Lamptey's so good at stopping counter attacks. He has to play, especially against Leicester's pacey team. And the midfield too, I think it should be Bissouma and Alzate. And Gross was slowing down the play a lot, and he plays a lot better now in a much deeper role where his pace doesn't affect the attack too much. But Leicester, as I said, they're so good on the counter-attack. It would be dangerous to put Gross in the midfield too when he doesn't have the pace to go and stop counter-attacks. That's why I think Alzate should play. And Alzate, I didn't understand why it was dropped, because he was so good earlier on in the season. I think he should play, especially with Bissouma, where them two were having a very good partnership earlier on in the season. And the 10 position, I think it should be Trossard. I think Trossard should be just behind the strikers. He had really good early season form, and when you look at Leicester, I think it would be better for him to go and play there, where if Leicester do ever go in an attacking phase, you do look at the players who could go on the counter-attack, and Trossard does seem like a player who's very good at pressing off the ball, and his shooting wise he's quite good at that, forcing keepers to make a save. So that's why I think Trossard should play. And my front two for this game, I think it should be Welbeck and Connolly. And I know a lot of people do want Connolly dropped, but I think what Connolly does off the ball is so good for us, especially with his way to press, his ability to give us that threat on the counter-attack, and he wins so many fouls, and that could just go and help us progress up the pitch and force Leicester into a much more deeper position, and that could be key for us to go and try and get something from this game. Welbeck, he's been great recently. He's able to hold up the ball well. He gets other players into good positions, and he has good passing as well, and he gets into lots of good positions. I don't think he should be dropped, so the front two should be Welbeck and Connolly. And my score predictions for this game, I think will be 0-0. And that's because I don't think we'll be able to go and break down Leicester. Leicester have a really good defence. But when you look at Leicester's attack, I don't think they'll be able to score, because I think Lamptey and Bissouma will have two really good games, and they'll nullify Leicester's really good attack. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Brighton TV and follow us on Instagram.